James Tynion and Riccardo Federici bring Gotham into its fear state as the Magistrate mobilize across the now blacked out Gotham City, causing the Bat family to rush to prevent a war from breaking out and destroying the city once more as Batman continues to fight through Scarecrow's mind games. James Tynion cracks open his plans for Fear State this issue with one hell of an explosive opening that lays out Crane and Simon Saint's overall plan for Gotham and how it ties directly into Future State books we saw a year ago. I love getting a look at behind the scenes of Simon and Crane's scheming and where the blueprints for this whole plan came from, basing it around some theories Crane had while he was still studying, and I like it goes into Crane's reasoning for doing this, which boils down to him truly believing that he can change the city for the better with his theories. It's an interesting take on Scarecrow and a villain's plan overall, and I really enjoy Scarecrow being used as a central villain over the usual suspects like your Two-Faces and your Jokers and your Mr. Freezes. It's a refreshing change of pace. The book also touches in on stories like Poison Ivy's, which is finally being brought back into the spotlight, and I'm looking forward to seeing that blossom throughout the event, since what we got of it here and connecting it up with the Insanity Collective and everything was really quite great and quite ingenious as well. Riccardo Federici did the artwork of the book, and oh my god, the art for this book was absolutely amazing. His sketch-like composition and realistic style was so damn good and was a great fit for this part of the story, this sort of setup and prelude to the big war. I love the atmosphere each page had thanks to his style, especially the Scarecrow pages, which were covered in a great yellow light from the TVs he had around the room, along with some hard shadows hiding Batman in them, and the colours on the Queen Ivy pages were also colourful and stood out and popped off the page like they should. Batman Fear State Alpha Issue 1 was a great beginning to the new Batman event, revealing some of the key plot points for Scarecrow's plans for Gotham, as well as connecting it up really well to Future State, or a version of Future State which we're going into from this story, and I can't wait to see where we diverge from Future State and what changes are going to happen, because there's definitely going to be a lot of changes. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10. Batman Fear State Alpha Issue 1 heads to the past where Simon Saint meets with the incarcerated Jonathan Crane, telling the inmate he's allowed in his private room thanks to paying off Jeremiah Arkham for the privilege. He shows him a device that will render their voices incomprehensible to recordings so they can speak freely. Simon introduces himself, admiring Crane's work, but Crane knows he's not. He's utility for his own work, trying to flatter him and project a version of Crane on him that he'll feel comfortable speaking with, but he knows that Simon is scared of him. Simon admits he is, and so Crane knows he's a smart man, having read up on him and his deals and achievements. Crane knows Simon thinks that someone stands in their way of his work, but Simon thinks that he might be just projecting. Simon says that Crane's work has found an audience in Silicon Valley, particularly his papers on societal fears. Crane knows he means the fear state theory and how it outlined a way to help society evolve by delivering a tremendous shock to the system. Crane says he can see why it would resonate, but knows people turn away at the last instant, knowing they can't control what exits on the other side. Simon knows he's right, and it's difficult to imagine an event so traumatizing it would change society, but Crane knows a certain criteria needed to be reached naturally for it to be exploited. Simon thinks that it's difficult to imagine creating a society trained to expect trauma, whose fear is ingrained, and that the theory might tip them over. He knows it was different in a city overrun by murderous clowns less than a year after a foreign strongman in a mask conquered the city government. Crane knows that Gotham does meet that criteria, so Simon says he's got a dream of what Gotham could be on the other side of the fear state, but Crane laughs at Simon, thinking he can control societal evolution. Simon thinks it's worth a try and wants to make it happen and push Gotham to the brink. Crane knows that he doesn't understand his work, and he doubts the man could give him what he needs to do it. Simon says he's a billionaire with government contracts, so Crane should ask. Crane says that the FBI get all of Mad Hatter's tech each time he's apprehended, and while he's a strange man, he is smarter than the usual costume villains in Gotham and understands things about the human mind and how it works, and his work is critical to the evolution of Crane's own work, saying that he would like all of his tech. Simon says with a few phone calls he could make that happen, so Crane says he also needs various chemicals, lab space, burlap, straw and rope, as well as $25 million and a way to mask his absence from Arkham so that Batman doesn't come and interfere with his experiments. He knows the most important thing though is something that he for years has wanted, and he's spent years seeing lesser men get it for dissecting his work and labeling him as a cartoon villain. Crane says if they pull this off, on the other side he wants the credit. In present-day Arkham, Scarecrow tells the tied-up Batman that he hopes deep down he can appreciate what he's doing to the city. Crane says that Batman won't remember any of this since he's lost in a labyrinth of nightmares, but he hopes the hero recognizes the truth, and what comes next is him at his most altruistic. But that's not why he's doing this, and he's doing it out of scientific curiosity and sincerely believes that Gotham will be better on the other side. As Batman writhes in pain, the villain asks him if he knows fear, knowing he does from the ways he has overcome the toxin before, but he's not relying on the toxin now and he has new technology at his fingertips, technology which will allow him to access things not thought possible before. He knows Batman survived the fear state and it made him strong, and now Gotham has a chance to do that as well. Across Gotham, the news reports on attacks Gotham is facing yet again thanks to the Insanity Collective, Scarecrow's attacks on the mayor, as well as the still fresh wounds from A-Day, which have been ripped open thanks to these new attacks. The news though focuses on the Insanity Collective and how people claim that their children are being abducted and having their minds wiped in a bid to forget their pasts, and it's believed they were terrorizing the city on behalf of Scarecrow. The news however also reports on Mayor Nakano activating the Magistrate program with Sane Industries. Nakano addresses the people, saying that the bombing of City Hall tipped the balance and the Insanity Collective have pushed the city into action, leading to key members of the Insanity Collective being captured, but Miracle Molly and Mr. Wise are still at large. Peacekeeper is unveiled to the public, revealed to be Sean Mahoney, the hero of A-Day, who is zeroing in on a location of Scarecrow, and once he is captured, it is believed that the Magistrate's focus will shift to Batman and other masked vigilantes. Sean meanwhile stumbles around the destroyed Arkham, having been dosed with fear toxin. He demands Simon stop yelling in his ear since the voices aren't real. Simon tells him that he's been drugged and they need to get to him so they can help him and they can then save Gotham. But Sean stumbles towards the city, saying he himself needs to save Gotham. Simon meanwhile tells Ricardo he spent millions of dollars on the best PR package he could find to sell Peacekeeper 1 to the public as someone they can trust, and now he's just supposed to accept that he's hopped up on fear toxin and armed to the teeth with the best super weapons and they somehow can't track him. The texts say that Simon wanted to be overzealous with stealth to make it impossible for Batman to track Peacekeeper, so they are having trouble as well. Simon screams at the man, saying he was meant to build in a back door, wanting them to use their imagination and picture what will happen when an insane super soldier starts shooting innocents. Ricardo asks what they're going to do now, so Simon wants to approach this creatively, knowing that they need to shut down all communications in Gotham and go full blackout on everything, and they will take control of the airwaves and burn it into people's minds. He knows they need a win, wanting to know how their push into Alleytown is going, since if they make a success out of that, they can record enough footage from the drones to cut into a media package to help with PR. Ricardo asks about Scarecrow, but Simon wants the Magistrates to survive this moment and their future will be decided in Alleytown, and only then will they capture Peacekeeper and Scarecrow. At GCPD HQ, Renee Montoya talks with the mayor, telling him that she wants to talk about Sane Industries and the Magistrate and the UFO that is hanging over the city scaring people. Nakano has full faith in the Magistrate, but Renee says that she took this job since she thought he was different from the other idiotic mayors and they don't know anything about the Magistrate or the people they are hiring. Chris says that Sean Mahoney was a hero of A-Day, but Montoya knows he was a prison guard in the most corrupt prison on the East Coast, and the word Arkham is shorthand for poorly run prison. Chris wants to discuss this when it's over, but until then, the GCPD are to cooperate fully with Simon Saint. Montoya smashes her phone in anger as a beat cop says the Magistrate just took over the airways and they are running some kind of infomercial. Montoya kicks a chair in frustration, telling her men to get out the old walkie-talkies and ham radios since this means they're going into blackout, and they need to be ready. At the clock tower, Oracle tells Steph and Cassandra that the Magistrate have enacted full comms blackout and they are moving to take control. Barb tells Steph to plug in the old emergency broadcast system since that's what the Magistrate are using to override the communications grid. She knows during the Joker War she used this to help coordinate with their allies and push back, but this time it will be a more organized attack from the Magistrate, so coordinating will be harder, but the Bat family need to make their presence felt. Steph says that the news keeps saying that people trust Peacekeeper more than Batman, but Barbara knows that trust will quickly run out since they like Peacekeeper because he's untested and the media are feeding them the story and they will never trust her voice when she says what's true. The women set up the system and call out to Gotham, wanting to tell them and the Bat family the truth, and it's all much worse than it seems. Oracle says that she knows they are afraid, but they aren't frightened enough. Steph knows that's not the kind of message they need to be sending, but Barb says this isn't her, since someone has hacked into their systems and has locked them out. The fake Oracle says that the mayor is hiding and Scarecrow is on the loose and fear is spreading and the air is filled with poison, but not just the air, but the water they drink as well. The voice says that the Magistrate won't save them and they are a new oppressor who doesn't care for them. The people of Gotham listen as the fake Oracle says that Batman is dead and his friends will soon die as well, and the only one who can save them is themselves, and they are the only ones who can trust themselves and the people they love, wanting them all to stay inside and hunker down and get ready for the war. Steph asks what this means and is Batman really dead, but Barb doesn't know, as she wonders if this is the Magistrate pretending to be Oracle and trying to make the public not trust the Bat family, but Barb again says she doesn't know either, saying she doesn't know more than what Steph knows. The fake Oracle speaks directly to Barbara now, telling her that the city doesn't want to hear her old truth. It wants theirs, and they are cutting her off for now and for good. Barbara's computers explode as Cassandra cuts the lines, with Barbara telling the team that they need to get in touch with everyone else quick, since it's about to get much worse. Deep under Gotham City in Eden, Gardner knows that this isn't what her and Harley agreed to do, since Ivy needs help and she doesn't need to be recruited into another superhero war. Harley knows that the Insanity Collective needed a secret place to hide from the Magistrate, and Ivy will understand why she brought them there to the garden. Gardner knows this isn't the Ivy that Harley knows, since she's so angry now and she won't do anything to save the Lady Robot Joker and her collective. Miracle Molly says she isn't associated with the Joker and she just likes the color green, and green doesn't equal the Joker, as Harley thought she was actually dressed as a clown. Molly knows they shouldn't have followed Harley down there since everything is going wrong and people in the city will get hurt. She knows that the collective is meant to be a group where people can escape the trauma of the city, but now the city is weaponizing the trauma against them. Mr. Wise tells her to settle down, since the most crucial thing is for the collective to exist on the other side of this battle to help Gotham recuperate, and they can show people their way of life. Molly thinks, however, they'll get a full-on police state, so they need to fight, knowing she could build artillery that would make the collective dangerous, but she can't do it from the garden. Wise refuses to put more children like Squeak in danger, as Harley and Gardner meanwhile continue into the jungle, with Harley being told that the piece of Ivy is missing, and if they reintroduce that part of her she's lost, they might be able to negotiate with the woman they both love. Gardner says that this isn't her and it's a strain of the original mother plant that grew in the darkness and it took her name. Soon they find Queen Ivy, as she has taken some of the Insanity Collective men, trying to take Harley as well, as she says it's good the Gardener defied her and brought people there, since their blood will fertilize her children and make them strong. Harley makes her way up to Ivy, hugging her and saying that she's missed Pamela so much, apologizing for ever letting her go. Ivy grabs Harley with the vines, telling her that this isn't the path she wants to go down again and she can't let anyone in. Harley understands, wanting her to listen to her, since the collective need a safe place to hide or they'll be killed, and Ivy has always been her safe place, so she needs to let them stay and heal for a little while. Ghostmaker also says that she could do better and use her pheromones to calm the war that's brewing on the surface and end it before it gets started. Ivy says she won't interfere with the war happening above unless they move against her and give her a reason, but the collective can stay. Harley thanks Ivy as she leaves, and Harley says that she didn't believe Gardner, as the woman says she's impressed, not thinking she could get that kind of mercy out of this part of Ivy, since even this part of her must love Harley through the anger. Harley says that now they need to find the missing piece to bring Pamela back, but Gardner has an idea about that. In Alleytown, Catwoman has found the missing piece of Ivy, telling her that things are heating up outside and she needs to promise Selina that she'll stay there. Pamela says she's comfortable and she can feel the rest of her beneath her somewhere. Selina doesn't know if that's good or bad, but she won't let anyone else harm her or lay a hand on her. Catwoman takes to the rooftops, meeting with Billy, who says that the word on the wire is that Batman is dead. Selina tells him not to believe everything he hears over the radio, as the group is alerted to the Magistrate troopers moving into Alleytown, saying that they are there to bring peace to the neighborhood, but they are all heavily armed. Selina knows she can't push them back alone, knowing if Batman is truly dead, who will save them, as Jace Fox activates his new Batsuit, getting ready to defend the city. Scarecrow asks Batman meanwhile if he can feel the future state of Gotham forming beneath them, since all the pieces are now in play, wanting the hero to embrace it all. Batman refuses to let him do this as he breaks free from his chair, beating down Scarecrow and escaping the asylum, as Scarecrow knows that there's no stopping it, and there is no way back now, and the only way forward is through the fear state.